Right now, somewhere in a quiet neighborhood, a guy is standing in his garage at 2 a.m., hunched over a workbench, fixing something that already works fine. Not because it's broken, just because he wants to. Turns out, millions of people do this. Tinkering, fixing, building, taking things apart just to put them back together. In the U.S. alone, hobbyist repair and DIY communities have exploded over the last decade, with some estimates putting the number of active makers well into the tens of millions. And here's the weird part. Most of these people aren't fixing things because they have to. They could just buy a new one. So why do we do it? Turns out, there's real psychology behind why taking something broken and making it whole again feels so deeply satisfying. Let's go back, way back. For most of human history, if something broke, you fixed it. You didn't have a choice. A cracked tool, a torn net, a broken wheel. Survival depended on knowing how to repair what you had. That instinct didn't just disappear because Amazon exists now. Neuroscientists have found that completing a task, actually finishing something, start to end, triggers a release of dopamine in the brain. But here's the twist. It's not the finishing that hits hardest. It's the struggle right before it. Your brain loves a problem it's not 100% sure it can solve. Psychologists call this effort justification. The harder something is to fix, the more rewarding it feels once it's done, and the more you value the object afterward. There's actually a name for this in behavioral economics, the IKEA effect, named after, well, IKEA furniture. Yeah, turns out, sweating over an Allen wrench for 40 minutes makes you love your bookshelf more. Studies have shown people consistently value things they built or fixed themselves way higher than identical items they just bought ready-made. Same object, different story behind it, and that story changes everything. But dopamine and pride don't explain the whole picture, because fixing something isn't just mentally rewarding, it's physically calming too. Ask anyone who repairs things, and they'll tell you there's a kind of quiet that takes over. Hands moving, mind focused, everything else in the world just fades out. That's flow state again. Same mental zone athletes and musicians talk about. Task hard enough to need focus, easy enough not to cause stress. Repair work sits right in that sweet spot. Screws, wires, small parts, just enough complexity to lock your brain in. And that's rare in a world built to be effortless. Think about it. Everything today is designed to remove friction. One-click orders, instant streaming, same-day delivery. We spent decades engineering struggle out of daily life, and somehow we started missing it. That's part of why repair culture is booming right now. Right to repair movements, YouTube tutorials with millions of views, entire communities built around fixing old electronics, old furniture, old cars. It's not really about the object. It's about doing something hands-on in a world that's gone almost entirely digital. But there's a fourth piece to this, and it's one most people never even notice about themselves. Ever notice how the things people fix themselves almost never get thrown away later? Even years down the line, even when it's old and outdated, people hang on to it. Researchers call this the endowment effect. Once you've put labor into something, actual sweat, actual time, your brain quietly reclassifies it. It's not just an object anymore. It's yours in a way a store-bought version never is. One well-known study had people build simple IKEA boxes themselves versus buying pre-built ones. The builders didn't just prefer their own, they were willing to pay significantly more to keep it. Nobody's out here getting emotionally attached to a toaster they bought on sale. But fix that same toaster with your own two hands, suddenly it's got a personality. There's also something else going on, something tied to memory and identity. Think about the last thing you fixed instead of replaced. A grandfather's watch, an old chair, a bike from when you were a kid. These objects carry weight, history, a person, a place, a version of yourself that existed once. Throwing it away feels like throwing away a piece of that story. Anthropologists studying craft and repair traditions describe this exact pattern across cultures. The idea that mending something isn't just practical, it's an act of care. In Japan, there's actually a centuries-old art form built entirely around this idea. Kintsugi, repairing broken pottery with gold-dusted lacquer. Instead of hiding the crack, they highlight it. The break becomes part of the object's beauty. The philosophy behind it is simple. Something broken and repaired isn't damaged. It's more valuable because of what it survived. Compare that to how most of us live now. Something breaks, we don't fix it. We just throw it out and buy new. No story, no struggle, no connection, just replacement. And maybe that's exactly what we're missing. There's a fifth angle here too, one that's less about the past and more about right now. We're living through what some researchers call an agency crisis. So much of daily life runs on autopilot. Algorithms picking what we watch, apps deciding our route, subscriptions renewing without us even noticing. Most of us don't decide much anymore. We just consume what's already been decided for us. Fixing something, actually taking it apart, figuring out what's wrong, putting it back together, is one of the last places where you make every single call yourself. No algorithm to blame, no customer service line, just you, a problem, and your own judgment. And that feeling, actually being in control of an outcome, is something a lot of people don't get nearly enough of anymore. Because every time someone chooses to fix instead of toss, they're pushing back against something bigger than a broken toaster. They're saying, this still has value. This is still worth the effort. In a world engineered for convenience, choosing difficulty on purpose is almost rebellious. And it turns out, the payoff is bigger than a working gadget. It's calm hands, a quiet mind, a little bit of pride, and an object that means more now than it did before it broke. We built an entire civilization to make repair unnecessary. And instead of walking away from fixing things, a whole lot of us ran right back to it. Maybe that's the real answer. It was never really about the object. It's about proving, to ourselves mostly, that we can still take something broken and make it whole again. One screw, one wire, one small fix at a time.